Live from WOWT, First Alert 6 starts now.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here on First Alert 6 streaming. I'm Cerise Cole, along with Jared Lansford, Senior Chief Meteorologist Rusty Lord. And once again, it's January, so we're talking cold, but it's really cold out there this morning.
Yeah, the pattern is you start the week cold, then we spend the rest of it trying to warm up. We had it last week, we got it this week, and probably going to end up doing it next week. So let's show you what you have out the door to enjoy this morning. Most of us waking up in the single digits. Wind not all that strong, up to 10 miles per hour, but when you're this cold, all it takes is a little bit of that, and we get down to 6 below. So keep that in mind. That's what you need to plan for, bundling up this morning. As a matter of fact, all of us are in the single digits, even Carol trying to flirt with 0. Yeah, there's an 11 in Beatrice, so there you go. There's the winner right there. Current winds, they're pretty light, but 5 to 10 miles per hour, that's all it takes. You can see calm in Beatrice, so the wind chill doesn't really factor there, but the rest of us are below 0, getting up and getting going. So all the layers, cover up the exposed skin. It's a cold, cold morning out there, and there's no getting around it. Wind chills below 0. We're going to climb to about 20 with the best of the wind chills this afternoon. That's all we can do. So here's 9 o'clock. We're right around 10 degrees. Should be able to climb upper teens to near 20 degrees by lunch. And then all afternoon spent in the 20s. By 3 o'clock, you're looking at 26, some warmer numbers to the west, some colder numbers to the east, and high clouds moving in from the northwest. And you can see by 5 o'clock or so, we're down to 25. The clouds start to filter in. First alert to some light snow potential overnight tonight. After about 7, a few bands of snow will try to drop in from the north, but you can see some will hold together, others will fizzle out. So there's a bit of randomness to it as the little boundary with some colder air is dropping in. And you'll notice that'll move through. It's long gone by Tuesday morning, so we're done with any falling snow. There could be just a little bit trying to show up in some spots. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a ½ inch of accumulation in some of our northern counties. I'll show you that here. And you can see not much through 6, 7 o'clock. Tack on a little bit through midnight tonight, and then there could just be a little bit more before the sun rises tomorrow. Light, thin layer in our northern counties where it's a little more likely. As you can see, that kind of dries out as it drops south, so the best bet for maybe a ½ inch is north of I-80, and so that's not going to help out these numbers. We're third on the list for the lowest snow total to date. We made it all the way through the 12th of January. We've had an inch of snow. There's only 2 seasons where it's been drier, and we'll see where we end up by the end of this week, because if you don't get anything out of that snow, it's probably going to go another week or so till we get anything.
Isn't this crazy?
It's wild.
We should probably clarify that video in the background. That's not from this year.
No.
That's
we haven't seen that
It's
this
there for
year.
dramatic effect.
Yeah, so we're talking about how cold it is right now, but the thing is, it's going to be even colder this time next week.
Yeah, Jared and I were putting the forecast together this morning, and it does look like early next week. About a week from now, we're going to get the coldest air of the season on tap. So you can see this week, 26 today, 20 for the high Tuesday. Next week's probably a little bit colder. There's the cold air that we have in place right now, 7, 8 o'clock all the way through Tuesday. That slides east. There's your nice little surge of some warmer air. Again, you stay on the north side of this white line, you're in the colder air. You stay on the south side, you get a little milder air. We get that pretty good Thursday and Friday out of things, and then a blast of cold air. Look at how this goes all across the country. Could make it all the way to the East Coast, all the way to the west, maybe even down into parts of Texas, Louisiana, and the core of the cold air may end up being here sometime Monday. So there may be 2 days of this that are pretty nasty before it starts to exit to the east. So let me show you what that means with some numbers. There's what we're dealing with right now. We warm up, get into the 40s by the end of the week, and then there's the next cold blast, likely the coldest of the season. We're seeing how things play out the next couple model runs here, but I'm thinking Monday and Tuesday could be first alert weather days. We'd get our first sub-zero morning. We might have a day where we don't climb out of the single digits for a high, and we could have wind chills as cold as 20 below one of those 2 days. So those are the things we'll be watching for.
Wow.
Yeah.
The good news is about that Monday is school's out, so
Yes.
at least the kiddos won't be at the bus stop.
That's a very good point.
It's still very cold. All right, turning to traffic now. Big road closure. We've been talking about this for weeks now.
Been giving you first, second, third, fourth alerts.
Yes.
Let's do another one. Let's check in on 72nd and the surrounding roads. I want to give you an idea of how people are kind of handling this closure. Again, if maybe you've missed some of that over the last week, it's a new closure that starts up on 72nd. It's between F and I-80, and it's going to be in place for 6 months. So we've got quite a while that we're going to be looking at that, and it starts today. So that's what we're talking about. But before we get into the weeds on that, I do want to talk about I-80. Look at that. We're looking pretty good for how it's moving, but when we look at the camera, there are a lot of vehicles that are already on the road. So thankfully things have been getting along in good shape, but know that it is busy as we're starting off our Monday. Now, if you're trying to join those drivers, there's your obstacle. There's the closure we were just mentioning that's in place. 6 months is what you have to deal with. Both directions is that closure there just off to the south of I-80. So if you're maybe trying to make your way northbound and try to get to I-80. A lot of people use 72nd for that purpose. You do have some options. You can use 60th as your route. You could use 84th as an alternate selection too. You could even take 72nd, get to L, and then detour off from there. Maybe that helps alleviate some of the traffic that's going on 84th and 60th, because you're going to have a lot of drivers who aren't normally on those roads that are going to be joining the normal drivers who are on 84th in particular. There's a lot of people who use that to go through Papillion, La Vista, Ralston, and so it's probably going to slow down a fair bit as we pick things up. Right now it's looking okay, but I am going to be watching this closely as the morning goes on. You can see a little bit of a delay already starting to show up on 60th just past L. So that's one of our big things as we go through the morning. I don't know what's going on this morning. Look at how many yellow specks we've got. We've got a lot of people who are on the roads as we start things off. Now, thankfully, those are yellows and not oranges. So if we could just keep it with busy but moving, that's a good sign. Make sure you have plenty of time to warm that vehicle as we start off the day. We're going to talk about some other areas where we have problems. We'll check back in to see how things are continuing to progress with that. But we've got a lot of streetcar impacts on the roads that start today, too.
In addition to the other. All right.
So we'll dig into the details on that in a bit.
They're making us stay sharp today on the roads,
Yes.
Jared. Thank you. All right, now to a first alert to a chaotic scene of gunfire. A large crowd, 1 dead, 4 others injured. This all took place at 24th and Binney. The call came out at 3 a.m. on Sunday. Officers arrived to find a crowd of what some neighbors described to First Alert 6 as an after-hours club. Additional officers were called to help disperse all the people. 2 men were found shot at the scene. One of them, Brandon Jones, died at the hospital. He was 37. The second victim at the scene was also hospitalized with non-life-threatening injuries. He's 32. The gunfire woke up many in the neighborhood.
Unfortunately, these things happen, you know, especially if we're out late and drinking, seems like involved. No telling what can happen.
Well, 3 more victims later showed up at the hospital in private vehicles. 2 men in their 50s and 1 in his 40s. All of their injuries are not considered life-threatening. That's according to investigators. We are still working to find out what led up to this shooting. If you know anything, you are asked to call Omaha Crime Stoppers. Remember, you can remain anonymous. That number 402-444-STOP, or you can call the homicide unit directly. And a driver is dead after Omaha police say their vehicle struck a tree while trying to get on the freeway. This happened at I-480 in Martha. Here's a look at the scene. Omaha police tell us the driver was on the southbound on-ramp from Martha when they lost control and hit a tree. No other vehicles were involved. No word on what caused that driver to lose control. Well, now to First Alert 6 Safety Desk, back with Maria Cade. So glad to have you back.
Thanks,
we missed you. We did. So we all know it's the new year. Some may be working in the gym, working on their health. I've seen a lot of it at the gym, but you have some information everybody really needs to know about.
I know, and this has something to do with something that a lot of people who go to the gym pretty regularly use, protein powders, and it's a pretty concerning report, actually. So the report is by the Clean Label Project, and they analyzed samples from 70 different brands. Now, they didn't say or name what those brands were in that report, report, but high amounts of lead and cadmium were found in plant-based, organic, and chocolate-flavored products, 3 different ones. Now, this is alarming because those are carcinogens, and they can also be really toxic to your heart, your kidneys too, your gut, brain, respiratory, reproductive systems. It has a big impact on a lot of things. Now, they're still working on breaking down this data, but experts say if anything else dangerous comes about in their research in the powder, they're going to give an update and let us know.
All right, that is important information. She also has some information this morning for us as all of our loved ones get older.
I know. This time of year, experts say that they actually see an increase in families calling with concerns for their elderly loved ones. And experts say these calls can come after family visits during the holidays back at home. Now, one doctor from Northwestern Medicine says the first thing you want to do if you do have some concerns is to have a conversation with that person. Sit down with them and talk. She says it's really important to lay out what your specific health and safety concerns are to them. Then you can go over some different care options or some things that you can personally do to help. Now, she says most seniors will be concerned about losing their independence. So you definitely want to keep that in mind as you talk to them. Some red flags if you are concerned that an aging senior might need some extra care, or if they have some trouble with their medications, if their house is normally really clean but it starts to get a little dirty, or if they start making some purchases that are a little out of character.
I often find a lot of my patients who are not doing well in their home environment really thrive once they move into an assisted living environment.
Now, if your family member needs some more help than that, Woodward says you should talk to their primary care doctor. They can help connect them to any specialist or even the local agency on aging. They have a lot of resources that can really help that group.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be all bad. Sometimes the transition to those assisted living or independent living, they're around more people and they're not really lonely, positive. And it can be a positive thing. All right, Maria, as always, thank you. And we'll be right back. Well, sure hope your morning's getting
Live
off
from
to a
WOWT,
great start.
First Alert 6 starts now.
There you go. I spoke too soon, but you get the idea. It's a beautiful looking start. It is. We've been talking about the cold, the cold, the cold. It's a chilly, chilly start to the morning. But you know what? We've got more to talk about because there is a chance of actually some light snow today.
We're reaching, trying to, these little half-inch snows.
We're counting on chances. That's where we are.
It's ridiculous how dry it has been. We need all the moisture we can get. Let me show you the next possibility. Would happen overnight tonight and likely doesn't amount to all that much. And it's this little wave of energy you see back here to the northwest. It's going to be diving southeast, and it'll make its way into our area and bring with it the potential for some snow dropping right down through our area. So this is what we'll keep a close eye on and see how it progresses over the course of the next couple of hours, and could bring us a little bit of overnight snow. But temperatures at the moment down in the single digits as we start off. Current winds, they're pretty light out of the west at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Feels like temperatures down below zero. So that's what you get to start off the day today. No getting around it. Layer up, cover up all the exposed skin on the kiddos, get them to school as quick as you can. It's going to be a chilly morning. Wind gusts up near 20 miles per hour during the day. Could pick up and hit 25 miles per hour overnight tonight. So watch for that. A little bit more of a blustery night as that little round of snow tries to push on through. So let me show you what that looks like here in our first alert forecast. It's not going to be much, but there's still that threat. And I know we talked about it a little earlier, but for those just joining us, I want to show you what it looks like. By 3 o'clock, we're up into the 20s. Clouds will start to increase from the northwest after that. So you should get quite a bit of sunshine. Clouds really don't move in until the sun sets. Could get us a pretty colorful sunset, which would be kind of neat. By 7 o'clock, there's a couple little stripes of some snow up there. There's not much to it, folks. You'd be hard-pressed to get the snow. And the way I describe it, lucky if you get snow, not much if you do. Very, very minimal amounts. It won't ever be steady. It'll be dropping through. After about 3 a.m., most of that drops south. Colder air filtering in, likely down in the single digits for one more morning. And then we start our climb for the rest of the week. Snowfall potential, you can see how it looks. Less than ½ inch of accumulation across our northern counties. If you're north of I-80, you have a little better odds of getting some of this to stick. Farther south, yeah, it's going to dry up pretty quickly. And of course, to make life easy for me, Omaha's right in the middle. Their best odds are probably going to be to the north, though, for most of us. And we're seeing those really, really low amounts of snow all the way through the entire area. So you can see here where we're at. We have chilly temperatures here to start off the week. We're going to climb up into the 40s. It looks like 46 and 45 for afternoon highs by the end of this upcoming week, which is great. Love the warm up. Yeah. Might even make a run at 50 degrees in a few spots. So some good news there at the end of, at least in the week anyway. We
do love the warm up, but we don't want to ignore the fact that we desperately need some snow. I know you've been keeping track of our snowfall or lack thereof. Where do we stand now?
I tell you what, it's pretty dry. No getting around it. Let me show you some of these numbers. We're third on the list right now for the lowest amount of snow we've had so far through this late in the season, January 12th. We've had 1 inch. We average between 10 and 11 in our area by this time of year. Last year, we've already had 15 inches of snow. And most people think last year there wasn't much snow to begin with. So there's where we're at. These are the 3 main reporting points where we get a lot of data. Valley, where the Weather Service office is, Omaha and Lincoln. This chart is on our website if you want to check this out ever and you want to keep track of the numbers and play along at home. You can always see that updated every day there. Then colder air is set to move in. Look at this, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Nosediving. I'm thinking somewhere Monday and Tuesday, maybe one day, maybe both. We got to dive into more of the numbers, but watch later on. Could have a First Alert 6 weather day in there somewhere. And then the big question is, how quickly can we get rid of that cold air? Odds seem to lean towards it sliding east and out of here at a decent pace next week. But when you start off that cold, it makes it tough. Cold air is really dense and heavy, and it's really tough to move it out of the way.
And that's what we want to do, but it's harder.
It's harder to do that. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, you'll keep us posted on that. Meanwhile, we've got a new crash on Dodge.
Yeah, not an ideal way to get your day going. If you're going to be using the expressway to head eastbound, this is something you've got to watch out for. Let's take a look at where we're seeing this. You can see all the brake lights starting to show up as you're getting just past about 1/20th is where we've got the issue. And so let me show you what we're talking about. It looks like the right lane is where we have this. Here's what we've got going on with this crash. So partially blocking the right lane. You need to stay left if you're heading through this area. That's where we've got the issue. So you can see it pretty clearly where you've got the red matching up with the yellow. That's where our crash is, and we're quickly seeing some delays starting to show up as you're going over in the opposite direction of where I'm moving the map. So as you get back toward about 144th, you still have some of those delays in place. So make sure that you're planning accordingly. Maybe start thinking about whether you want to use a different route this morning. Pacific moving along in pretty decent shape as we start off the day. We'll continue to keep you posted on all the latest with that new crash there. Again, that's eastbound Dodge Expressway as you're just about past 120th. Elsewhere, we've got all kinds of impacts with construction. You've got the streetcar with new closures of lanes, new road closures fully that are in place all over Midtown, on Farnham, on Harney, on roads in between those two. We've got all these broken down on our traffic blog on our website. Go check that out. But you can see how things are just kind of scattered all over the place. You'll need to plan accordingly to that. And I also want to real quick zoom back over to our road closure on 72nd. Check in on how things are going, and there we go. You're starting to see some of our delays on 84th as you're heading northbound toward I-80, back toward L, and starting to see a little bit on 60th as well. So those are things I'll be watching in addition to that new crash on Dodge. We'll keep you posted through the morning with how all that is going as we pick things up, Cerise.
all sorts of challenges. Jared, thank you. Well, we've been talking about this all morning. Even though the temps are chilly, we've been dry, cold and dry, not a great combination. And for that reason, the Douglas County Fire Chiefs have enacted a burn ban. Fire weather conditions are heightened due to the lack of rain and snow, as well as all the wind we've had. Any burn permits are suspended as long as this ban is effective, and the ban will stay in place until we see a decent amount of moisture. Well, up next is a new era for the Today Show. Who's joining Savannah at the desk this morning when we come back? Welcome back, everybody. Happening today after the week-long farewell for Hoda Kotb, the Today Show introduces its new co-anchor. Craig Melvin's ascent to Studio 1A began in his hometown of Columbia, South Carolina. Well, a move to the NBC station in Washington, D.C. really changed his life. It's where he met and married colleague Lindsay Zarniak. Melvin's work in D.C. was also important professionally, earning him a spot with the network in 2011 and one with the Today Show in 2018. So he's no stranger. Melvin was wholeheartedly endorsed by his colleagues and welcomed for his new role.
Outside of getting married and having my children, this is the most excited I've probably ever been.
I know it is. Craig's debut is going on right now, so you have to check it out. I'm anxious to watch too. Like, you know, he's been a part of the Today Show family for so long, but this is a big deal for him.
It's tough replacing someone who's popular too. Yeah. So you got, I mean, he's great. I think he'll be wonderful. Yeah. Notice how I said outside of my marriage and my kids is that
smart man. Ooh, that is smart. For that reason on, we should be watching him every morning. He knows what to say. All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. We got to get ready for our update in the Today Show. Of course, you can watch it here on streaming or you can watch it over the air. We sure appreciate you watching. Have a great day.
Live from WOWT, First Alert 6 starts now.
Good morning, everybody. It is 7:26. I'm Cerise Cole. We do want to get to First Alert 6 traffic with Jared. He's first alerting us to a new crash on Dodge.
And it's partially blocking the right lane as you go on the expressway just past 120th. There it is right over there. And you can see how people having to get over to the left as you head through that area. We almost made it worse just a little bit ago with the people who almost ran into that crash. So make sure you're not doing that and taking it slow through that area. You can see all the delays that stretch all the way back almost to 168th. This is the kind of morning where you start thinking about an alternate route, and Pacific is a great option. It's moving along in really good shape at this point in the morning. So keep that in mind. We zoom things out. You can see that mostly moving along in pretty good shape elsewhere. Keep in mind 72nd closed north of F with that bridge work. Rusty.
Yeah, a lot of new construction out there early on a Monday morning. Out there as well, cold, bad morning to be exchanging information outside of your nice warm car. 8 degrees, feels like number 6 below. You got a west wind at about 10 miles per hour. Wind gusts could hit 20 miles per hour today during the afternoon. Not incredibly strong, but again, when it's cold, any breath of wind doesn't help. Gusts up near 25 overnight tonight. As we climb to about 26 or so for the afternoon high, you can see quite a bit of sunshine through the day. Late in the afternoon, we get some clouds back in play. And that's after, though, we go to 26 degrees. Now, those clouds could give us a little bit of overnight snow, and emphasis on a little bit. Less than a half inch of accumulation. If you see anything out of it, best odds are probably north of I-80, and it might be kind of intermittent and spotty as you go a little farther south. Cerise?
All right, Rusty, thank you. 1 dead, 4 others injured after a shooting at 24th and Binney. 2 men were found shot at the scene. 1 victim died at the hospital. The second victim was also hospitalized with non-life-threatening injuries. It is 7:28. We are back with another update for you in about 25 minutes. We'll see you then.